She's a mother, she's a sister, she's a friend, she's a companion. Guess what? I'm the only thing she has. That I know. That I know. That's why whenever, till date, she's yet to have a Yoruba. That she already she knows her Yoruba name, but she has not been so. She has not been named, but she knows the name. I continue asking her to wait until when she will be ceremoniously be given the name. I pray Allah to spare our lives to be able to celebrate such.
The union is blessed with 6 children, 5 females and 1 male. They are as follows: Princess Mrs. Miriam Morayo Benson, Princess Mrs. Bashira Adebodun Hyman, Princess Khadija Mansour Williams, Prince Muhammad Baba Mansour Williams, Princess Asma Mansour Williams, and Princess Mrs. Aisha Nkechinyere Mansour Williams Garba.
I would describe my father as a very loving man, very industrious, very meticulous, very disciplined, very principled, very wise, and a lover of Lagos State, of Eko, the real Eko. He's a passionate lover of Lagos State.
My dad is a wonderful father and grandfather. He really enjoys having his family around, especially his grandchildren. You should see the way he watches them with love. I remember one day he was at my house and we're in the garden. It was summer and he was dancing with the children to Nigerian songs, and you could see everyone was having a good time and you could tell he was happy. I remember another time he was with my son. Then my son was 2 years old. And they were playing. My son was making him take toys back and forth, and he kept him on his feet for quite a while. And I remember even I was saying, Daddy, sit down, thinking about, he must be getting tired. But he just carried on, and you could just tell that things like that bring him so much joy. Also, my dad has a good sense of humor. He enjoys a good laugh. And he has this way of injecting humor into different scenarios to kind of make light of the mood. One of the things I also remember about my father recently, when I had my daughter, and I was going to name her Adiola. And I remember talking to my dad about this. And he could tell the love he felt for my mum, and, the way he felt that love for my daughter. And he thought about the name. And he put so much thought into it, and how it would be lovely for my daughter to share that name, mainly because it was my mom's name and it's something special to him. And that's how we hold family. We're special to him.
My dad is definitely an onion. There's lots of layers for sure. I think he is definitely one of the smartest people I know. I say that all the time. I'm always running to him for business advice, work advice. Very smart, very intellectual, very intuitive as well. He has a great foresight, so it's a good person to kind of help manage things, because he can, it will probably envisage what is going to happen before it even happens, and can guide and manage. And of course, a great entrepreneur, a great visionary as well. You can see with FIF, and definitely without a doubt as being a strong kind of bond with the family, keeping everyone together, checking up on everyone, making sure that everyone stays really tight, close-knit and well-connected.
I would describe my dad as a very principled man, and one of the first things that comes to mind when I think about him is Islam. So my dad is very known for his faith, and he translates this into his everyday life, his everyday activities. You can't miss that about him. It's really just there. He's also a disciplinarian. He owns a school, as you would have seen from like most of the video. He owns a school, and so he has to have that element of discipline in him, which also reflects in how people see him and what he does on a day-to-day basis. But besides that, he's a very fun person. He loves to dance. You know, he likes to move his body. He loves like exercising, you know, and just being fully there in anything that he's doing. But he's a very fun person. He's very chatty. I really love chatting with my dad, and you know, I think that's a side of him that most of his family see, and not everybody.
At the time of this production, the couple is also blessed with 5 grandchildren, namely Princess Amina Damilori Benson, Prince Ramadan Shemilori Benson, Princess Fatima Darasimi Benson, Prince Kamis Oluwajimi Hyman, and Princess Monsura Ella Adeola Hyman.
My father's relationship with his grandchildren is a very, very loving one. My father dotes on his grandchildren. They love him so much. They always look forward to spending time with him. Whenever they are with him, they hardly want to leave him because he's always telling them stories of his childhood, and they're always fascinated. He always encourages them to speak Yoruba, to learn Yoruba. He will tell them, when next you're coming, you must know how to greet in Yoruba, you must know how to say this in Yoruba. They love him so much, and he loves them equally.
His love for the children is to well, he spoils them as much as he can. He far more than he do spoil me. Even what they don't crave for, he makes sure he crave for it for themselves, for them, and make sure they have it. And I'm so grateful to him for that, because today our children, they don't look left and right or whatever. Whatever it is they've seen today, they've already, enjoy it, with us.
Having imbibed the life lessons and values inculcated in them right from their formative years by their parents, the Williams offspring have gone on to prove their mettle to the outside world, recording impressive academic, professional, and personal milestones of their own to the pride and delight of their devoted parents.
My dad is a very disciplined and principled man, and that's how a lot of people would describe him. And I think that stems from the fact that he's a lover of excellence. He wants everything he does to be very, very good, outstanding. So he doesn't expect less from anyone around him. So he would demand the very best from you. So he would not let you be ill-disciplined, and he will not let you not give your very best. So working with my dad, being with my dad, you must always be willing to give an excellent output.
A lot of us have been impacted by his discipline and his principles. I would speak for myself. Because of my dad, I've unconsciously picked up a lot of traits that have helped me in my adult life. For instance, he's made me to become very independent and not to rely on people. And as an adult now, I see the benefit of that, because one of the easiest ways to get things done for yourself is to believe in yourself and do it on your own.
That discipline definitely helps. It really helps. Because when we first went to college, when we first lived away from the family, you do realize that there's certain things that you do and then you don't realize it kind of picked up from not being able to do certain things, or just the way we're being brought up. And I can definitely attest to the fact that if there's anything about my life so far for my adulthood, is that I've definitely been more not necessarily disciplined, but just more respectful of life in itself and just of my person, because I've been able to pick up on some of those values. I'll call them values, not disciplines, actually values that the discipline instilled in me.
Yes, my father is a disciplinarian and he's very strict. I completely agree. But he's a man with very high expectations and he's very principled. And I have seen in different scenarios where he wouldn't accept less than the best, either from children or adults, but he also gives the same of himself. One of the most comforting things about having my father as my father is that I know he's always praying for me, my children, my husband, and my siblings. And for that, I'm eternally grateful for the loving and kind father that I have.
I always say to people, despite his disciplinary disposition, he is a very good man who thinks of others, irrespective of who you are and where you come from.
The coming of Olori Mariam Mansour Al-Mansour Williams into the administration of the Five Academy has over the years brought about a transformation in its profile and fortunes, so that the institution has asserted itself as a center of academic excellence in line with its mission statement, namely, to create an enabling environment where great importance is attached to quality teaching blended with strict moral upbringing according to Islamic tenets, wherein emphasis is placed on the total empowerment and development of our pupils and students morally, spiritually, physically, and academically, as well as its overall vision, which is to inculcate qualitative secular education along with uncompromising, thorough, modern-day Islamic teachings, culture, and values supported with Quranic reading, memorization, and Arabic language.
In this school, the children are taught how to read and write Arabic. With that, they can hold Quran at any given time and read it and understand it. Then, they have been trained on memorization of the Quran itself. This memorization is different from now when they are good enough in memorization. Now reading without looking at the text with what we call tajweed.
In line with its mission and vision, therefore, the Five Academy emphasizes the teaching of religious subjects such as Islamic religious knowledge, Islamic jurisprudence, Quranic memorization, and Arabic language.
As the name of the school connotes, that is the First Islamic English Education Foundation, we lay particular attention on the two sides, that is the English aspect of education and the Islamic aspect, without compromising one to the other.
The school also organizes weekend classes in Arabic and Islamic jurisprudence for adults. This all-encompassing educational paradigm is aimed at orientating the children while still at an impressionable age on morals, ethics, and basic decency, including how to dress, eat, sleep, and conduct themselves in public.
Yeah, the standard year in year has been consistent and just increasing and improving, and I think being in a position to see it from two different angles, from two different views as well, you do really see that these kids are well-mannered. It is actually baffling to see they are very well-mannered. And I think if kids can go out into the world with this level of training, then you just almost always know that the sky is only the starting point, really. So yes, I'll say it's definitely even done more than enough.
An ultra-modern co-educational institution, Five Academy boasts of nursery, primary, secondary, and advanced sections. Its day-to-day operations and the general ambience of its premises are a model of organization and efficiency. Each classroom, for example, seats no more than 20 students, with male students on one side and their female counterparts on the other. Ablution points within the premises are also separated for male and female students and staff. The same goes for the 50 toilet facilities situated on the premises.
We have well over large water reservoirs. We have over about 18 large water reservoirs that we have children that use the water for ablution as they like, 5 times a day. Water bathing, not 10, not 20, not 100 of them. Bathing morning and night, washing of clothes, toileting.
Thanks to this uncompromising emphasis on excellence both in academic and moral upbringing, Five Academy has enjoyed numerous recognitions, awards, and honors from multiple stakeholders in the sectors of education and youth development in Lagos State and beyond, including the 2008, 2009, and 2021 National Quality School Award, an annual honor instituted by the Quality Management Development Institute in Lagos to recognize educational organizations and individuals adjudged to have distinguished themselves when measured against the framework of global best practices in education. FIAF Academy offers a comprehensive educational package which encompasses all academic subjects, including language arts, mathematics, social studies, and science. In addition, however, the curriculum is made more robust and holistic by such non-academic but equally important subjects and programs as physical education, art, health and career planning, and information technology.
In school curriculum, we run 3 major curriculums: Nigerian curriculum, British, and Islamic curriculum, which is Islamic culture.
We have an in-house gym where the children enjoy themselves. Even while they're in classroom, they do go in there to enjoy themselves.
Not to mention the numerous excursions that have taken the students to various countries along the West African coast, such as Benin, Togo, Ghana, and Cote d'Ivoire, as well as various states across Nigeria. All these activities have gone a long way to enrich and challenge successive generations of students to ever higher levels of achievement and competence as they prepare to engage the emerging global marketplace of goods, services, information, and ideas. In the process, FIAF Academy has produced a first-class core of alumni who are excelling both locally and internationally in their respective fields of professional and vocational endeavor, and serving as proud ambassadors of their alma mater. Worthy of mention in this regard is Dr. Abdul Hasib Suenu, who holds a PhD from the University of Canterbury in England and now works in the office of the Managing Director of the World Bank in Washington, D.C., USA. In the end, FIAF Academy has, in its almost 4 decades of existence, demonstrated its commitment towards the actualization of its most fundamental objective, namely the formation of Muslim character in line with the following statement: a Muslim pursues spiritual goals through all his or her worldly endeavors. His or her behavior embodies and reflects Islamic morals and values. Pursuit of knowledge is among a Muslim's highest priorities, and a spirit of inquiry is a prerequisite. Faith and action work together to lead a Muslim toward higher knowledge and progress, sound individual life choices, and service to society. In a world of pervasive violence, moral corruption, political upheaval, and increasing lack of personal responsibility, FIAF Academy is developing in her students the values of honesty, compassion, self-esteem, and respect for others, pride in honest work, a commitment to justice, and an acceptance of differences. And those are the values that will continue to guide the growth and trajectory of FIAF Academy in the years and years to come, inshallah. A key factor in the success of FIAF Academy all these years has been the loyalty, dedication, hard work, and commitment of its workforce, both academic and non-academic.
Ó ti wà ní custom títí tó fi di kan dáléèwé yìí sílẹ̀. Láti ìgbà tí mo lè ti mọ̀ wọ́n pẹ̀lú iléèwé yìí, wọ́n ń take care gbogbo àdúgbò yìí ni, ká má jẹ́ wá sọ pé iléèwé yìí in particular. Wọ́n take care gbogbo ẹ̀, àtọ̀sán àtòru, ṣé kìkì sùn nítorí ọmọ ọlọ́mọ tó wà níbí báyìí. Ìyàwó wọn náà the same thing, bákan náà ni ọjọ́ ń ṣe iṣẹ́ yẹn hand to hand. Anything tó bá ṣẹlẹ̀ báyìí, wọ́n máa pè ní emergency, a ní kí n máa bọ̀ kíákíá o, kán lè romi lu o. Tí mi ò bá débi ṣéèkì ò ní sùn, bí n bá débi pàápàá, ó dìgbà tá a bá rectify, tá a bá ṣe iṣẹ́ yẹn láti dájú débi pé tọ́wọn ọmọ yẹn tán fi ní problem, wọ́n fẹ́ ru lómi ni o, wọ́n fẹ́ lu anything ni o, tán máa rí lò. Bó dẹ̀ ṣe iṣẹ́ electrical náà ni pé iná ṣe kíní kan gbogbo ẹ wo àwọn big gen tó wà bẹ́ẹ̀ yẹn tó jẹ́ pé bí iná kì í kú ní FIAF pé wọ́n múná lọ rárá, wọ́n ní transformer àti NEPA fúnra ara wọn tán rà, ó wà lórí òpó. Apart lérí yẹn, wọ́n tún wá ní àwọn big giant gen mẹ́ta nínú ọgbà yìí torí pé kó má sì failure of NEPA.
I see them as role models because everything they do they tend to do it in a way that the people that are watching can copy from them. And if you do that, you see that you live a very simple lifestyle. Their discipline, Sheikh's discipline is to the highest standard, I would say 100%. For them to sacrifice their own pleasure to come and live a life in the school. They live in the school, they stay with the children, live in the hostel. They want the children to copy from them. And they'll be happy to if staff can copy and emulate them. That will help the system, because our students here, once they go out, that impact, you will see it in them.
Sheikh and his wife are very caring. They've been playing a fatherly and motherly role, not just for the staff, for the students, for the pupils. It marvels me at times the way they play with them as if they are their children. And there's also done so to the staff by thinking in such a way that the staff will always have it better.
I've been working with Sheikh Madam for over a decade now. One, it has helped me in the area of collaboration. Collaboration in the sense that as a team, you always work as a team and listen to other people's opinion before you take certain decision. One. Then again, working with them has also built my own personality. So it has also given me opportunity to rediscover some of my own talents. And working with them too has given me the kind of leadership styles that outside there, when I handle issues, people are also looking up to me as a role model. And all this is, I get them, I learned all these things from them, from their own leadership style.
Sheikh is very good. Madam too is very, very nice. She takes care of all of us. She talks to us, she advises us. She comes to the hostel, she talks to us. She looks after us. She makes sure that all the things we need are there with us. She gives us advices. Sheikh also comes to our hostel, checks our bed, our things, if we are all right. Make sure that we do. Make sure that we know what we came to this school for and everything.
Sheikh is a very lovely father. He is a person that I know that is highly disciplined, and he always wants to impact that discipline into children. Madam is a very caring and lovely mother. She listens to every complaint that you make to her. She's very nice. She's very prayerful. And I pray that Allah grants both of them long life and prosperity.
The Williams family is a close-knit one, where the bonds of love, friendship and loyalty are palpable, thanks to the unyielding devotion of a patriarch and matriarch whose large hearts and generous spirits are a source of comfort and succor to family and non-family members alike, and whose home has over the years become a sanctuary for many. Family gatherings such as Eids, naming ceremonies, housewarmings, weddings and reunions are like festivals in celebration of Almighty Allah's abundant blessings upon the family and an occasion for the reaffirmation of solidarity among the family members. The Williams children's pride and gratitude to their parents for their devotion and sacrifice over the years is replicated in the attitudes of their respective spouses, who now consider themselves sons rather than sons-in-law of His Eminence, the Sheikh and Olori Mansour Al-Mansur Williams.
My father-in-law is the most simple and most religious man I've ever seen. The relationship between myself and himself is very cordial, and I thank God for his advices. Whenever my wife and my kids go over to his place for a visit, we are always over-pampered and we are never in a hurry to leave. I thank God for his life and I wish him all the best and may he enjoy the fruits of his labor.
When I last visited Lagos, my father-in-law was so hospitable and welcoming. He gave us his drive and vehicle to go sightseeing, and his warmth and hospitality remains the same when he visits the UK. He loved seeing his grandchildren and having us around. I remember seeing the pictures from the naming ceremony held in Lagos for my son and thinking of his generosity and affection towards his family. I have also heard how this is extended beyond his family. My children love their granddad and look forward to seeing him again soon.
I think the word that comes to mind now when I think about my father-in-law, when I think about the Sheikh, is fun. How jovial he is as a person, and that is, on first impression, that's probably not the first impression you get really about the Sheikh. You think about, once you think about the Sheikh, or when you see him for the very first time, you see the tough exterior, you see a disciplinarian, you see a no-nonsense person, and he's all of that. But in addition to that, once you get to know him, and once you get to know him, you find out that he's a fun, charismatic, quite chatty person. You never run out of topics to discuss when you're talking with the Sheikh. Always use the opportunity to also part important nuggets of wisdom. I always enjoy having conversations with him when we're fortunate to, when we're opportune to. So that's, I think, the first thing, the first thing that comes to my mind when I think about the Sheikh. His jovial nature, his chatty nature, how it just makes you feel welcome in around his presence.
His Eminence Sheikh Prince Mohammed Mansour Al Mansour Williams believes he wouldn't have been quite the man he is today without the love and support of his first wife, the late Olori Monsurat Adeola Williams, fondly known as Onidoko, who passed on in 1989 at the tender age of 32 years. Over 3 decades after her passing, Olori Monsurat Adeola Williams remains a towering and unforgettable presence in the life of the Williams family, as attested to by the thoughtful acts of remembrance, large and small, that the Sheikh and his household carry out in her memory. Sheikh Williams remembers the late Olori as an exceptional and irreplaceable epitome of every positive human virtue. She was the embodiment of humility and unconditional respect for persons, irrespective of their station in life. In spite of her privileged upbringing, Olori Monsurat Adeola Williams was submissive to a fault, not just to her husband or her parents and in-laws, but to all who came her way. Over the years, many have posed this question: why would a crown prince from the 2 ruling houses of Lagos Island, a bona fide Eko blue blood, choose to set up his business organization, including his signature, the first Islamic English Education Foundation Academy, in Okota, of all places? And why would he eventually settle there with his family for good? In a status-conscious society such as ours, and in the face of the island-mainland dichotomy that prevails in Lagos in particular.
At the time I acquired a property here, this place called Okota, in fact, most average Nigerians, they cannot even afford, if there's any that time, of course there wasn't any, afford the accommodation in this place called Okota. I can remember some 40 years plus back, Okota used to be called Victoria Island of Lagos. Those are the came after us. I don't want to use their term. I'm only telling you. That's how expensive. Okota, as at that time, I think of that time, more expensive than today called Banana Island. For you to be able to acquire property in this so-called Okota of a place. But that's our story now. Don't forget, Okota was so strategically placed, especially for those of us that are entrepreneur, business people. Proximity to all the seaports and the proximity to all the national, international airports. So, it makes it easier for us to travel out and come back, not going through the hassle of traffic all over the place.
The working class hustle and bustle of Okota is a world away from the chic glamour and elegance of the island, with its fashionable tree-lined neighborhoods, its fine waterfront residences, and the sleek automobiles that ply its broad avenues.
I did not acquire this property for what it is today. I acquired it as a place for holiday. Well, it was quite far. Don't forget, I'm a Lagos Island person. Okota was quite far. Okota, to me, just like my mother would tell you that time, my mother says Okota is out of Lagos. Okota is so Okota was quite far. Because at the time I acquired this Okota, I live in Surulere. But at the time I developed Okota, I moved to Victoria Island. So even from Surulere to here is far. How much more Victoria Island to this place is quite far. But eventually, I developed the place for my holiday resort. And I'll be coming out for holiday, seeing it as a very far place, as a western region, as we normally call it those days. As eventually, the issue of Islam propagation setting into my life. Yes, I've gotten this property and the building here some 7 years before turning to what it is today in 1985. It has been here before I used it in 1985 for what it is now. So all that time it was just abandoned here. More or less the most first of its kind in this Okota axis. More or less about the first story building of modern design. That then in some late 70s like that.
Àsìkò kan gbogbo àdúgbò yìí ó jẹ́lẹ̀ omi ó dẹ̀ jẹ́ pé Fayef Anthony Fayef fún rẹ̀ òun ló ṣe kò kárí bí gbogbo àdúgbò yìí wọ́n ṣe fíìlì ẹ̀ tómi kú òǹbẹ̀ òun ló lé omi kú ò.
His Eminence Prince Sheikh Mohammed Mansour Al-Mansour Williams' decision to go against the conventional practice in this regard speaks volumes about the essential character of the man.
Many people think that it's not possible, it's actually possible. If only and understand our environment and know what exactly we want. This this place we are now, this place this recording is taking place, is so designed for not only for today, for the present, for the future, and for our retirement. So, give and take, we are going to retire here, and by the time we retire in here, we will still be functioning as we are functioning. It's so designed like that. We have our gardens designed here, already here for retirement. We have a terraces designed. We have the accommodation itself designed. So these are all that most of us in this part of the world needs to do. One, it will save us stress. It saves us a lot of money.
In spite of his advancing age, Sheikh Williams retains a youthful zest for life that is manifested in a rich and infectious sense of humor, as well as a seemingly boundless energy that will put many people half his age to shame. Not surprisingly, he is a health and wellness enthusiast who adheres to a strict diet and exercise regimen that has contributed to his age-defying looks. A humble and down-to-earth man, in spite of his aristocratic upbringing, he projects a palpable aura of contentment, as well as an air of confidence and optimism that constantly radiates from him like the rays of the rising sun.
For the years I've known him, I've never got any bad impression about his behavior, whether at home or in public places. And nobody has ever come to report any criminal or untoward behavior from him. So to me, he's a man of the people, he's a gentleman.
I know Sheikh is getting old, and I know he's never tired, and I know until he leaves the earth, he will continue to remain the person he is. He can't change his style because of age. And I pray that God give him long life. So that, and I also pray that people emulate him and try to impact others too.
My wish for them is for God, for Allah to spare their lives so that they will experience, even if it is not all, bits or part of why Fire Academy was set up.
Èrò mi sí wọn ni wípé ọjọ́ tí wà lórí wọn àti ìyàwó wọn. Nísìnyí ìtọ́jọ́ náà dé yìí ọjọ́ àdálẹ́, but mo wish wípé nínú àwọn ọmọ wọn wọ́n jẹ́ kó mójútó iléèwé yìí, torí tọ́jọ́ bá dálẹ́ kí iléèwé yìí kó má parun, kó má gẹ́tọ̀, kó má lọ bẹ́ẹ̀, wọ́n jẹ́ kí inú àwọn ọmọ wọn àìdá kan àbí méjì irú iṣẹ́ tó wọ́n ń ṣe yìí kọ́wọn ọmọ wọn understand ẹ̀, kán mọ̀ nípa ẹ̀, kán lè gbé iléèwé dúró, kán lè gbé lárugẹ. Mo wish láti jẹ́ pé kán ṣe bẹ́ẹ̀.
I feel like there's a certain age you get to and then you feel like, oh, someone has achieved much in life. So I feel like achieve is very subjective because what is achieved, like different things. But I would say, I know he's very proud of FIF. So even if I look at it from that angle, I know that just being able to have grown FIF this long and to this extent as well, I think definitely is something that is a big feat in itself, that even I can attest to that. Is being able to achieve successfully. And I think obviously having a family as well, this close-knit, and being able to keep everyone together in itself, being able to train all his kids very well.
I love my dad so much. I wish him the very best of good health, of more strength, of peace, of joy and laughter.
Long before it became the so-called new normal in the wake of the coronavirus pandemic that swept across the globe in 2019 and 2020 and forced authorities everywhere to impose rigorous lockdowns that kept people within the confines of their homes for days, weeks and months on end, The practice of working and conducting his business empire from home was already an integral part of everyday life for Sheikh Muhammad Mansour Al-Mansur Williams. In a world that is undergoing rapid and disruptive changes to the way we live and work, not only from COVID-19, but also from new technologies and previously unheard of sociological paradigms, the Sheikh has long been an enthusiastic proponent of this way of life. Moreover, as any resident of Lagos will tell you, commuting across this vast metropolis on a daily basis to and from work is a grueling affair with potentially disastrous consequences for one's physical and mental health as well as quality of life. As far as Sheikh Williams is concerned, working from home is a different, healthier, and far more excellent alternative, and one that more people ought to imbibe for the sake of their sanity. As already mentioned, the motivation behind His Eminence Sheikh Prince Muhammad Mansour Al-Mansur Akinola Olabiyi Bodunrin Williams' decision to establish the first Islamic English Education Foundation Academy is driven by his concern for young people and his desire to help shape their destinies and enhance their prospects for a more glorious future, as reflected in his lifelong activism in pursuit of socio-economic justice in the society, the maintenance of high moral and technical standards in our educational system, and a genuine commitment to the general good on the part of our leaders and political office holders. By extension, Five Academy reflects his hopes for the larger Nigerian nation as a whole, and his determination to ensure that in the long term, Five Academy will serve as a catalyst towards the attainment of our collective quest for a just and prosperous nation, and for the continued sustenance of our most cherished values as a democratic society driven by an unflinching faith in the power and providence of a faithful, just, and merciful God. Alhamdulillah.
ọmọọba àdó ọmọọba akínṣemọyìn ọmọ olúkòkun àgánrún owó ọmọọba àlùfọ̀n moko mẹ̀bí ọmọ adíjọ́náwó bowó nú jẹ́ ọmọ àyìnmí ní ọ̀rọ̀ ọmọ ọ̀bí ní aróguntayò ọmọ òsínwìnìgbéwìnìkọ ó fi nǹkan wìnìwìnì tọkọ̀ ṣe ọmọ alówó lọ́kọ̀ bí òyìnbó dé tán owó òun pọ̀ sí ọmọ òpè bẹ̀rẹ̀ ní gàdú gànràn ọmọ wọn kì í fọkọ́ ró wọn kì í fàdá ró bí a kò ró a kò gbọdọ̀ kúrò nídìí ẹ̀ ọmọ àtùpà gàdú gànràn tó ń jóni lọ́wọ́ àwọn tó ń jó lọ́wọ́ wọn fi í banú ẹ̀gbẹ́ ẹ̀gángan kò ṣeé lù lẹ́sẹ̀ ó ń ràwọ̀ kó ṣe bí òṣùpá ẹni agbádé fún ládé yẹ ọmọ alápá ó jàgbòkò fún yàn ó gbágbòtà ó fowó ẹ̀ fóbìnrin kábíyèsí akínṣemọyìn ọmọ ọba àdèlé ajósùn ọmọ òrókòrègi mátìdí ọmọ ọba àlùfọ̀n ọmọ olóde òkúta ọmọ àgbà òsínlù ìlú bàjẹ́ baálé ilé kú ilé daworo ọmọ dẹ́gẹ̀ tutù lẹ́yìn ó gbóná nínú ọmọ òjì lóru kénini òbẹ́nini lókùnkùn ọmọ òṣùpá lé ẹni ògún ọ̀nà ọwọ́ ẹ̀ bá tó kó lọ tún ṣe ọmọ òsínwìnìgbéwìnìkọ ọmọ àgbààgbà tí ń gba ará àdúgbò ó gba sókènù ó gbà páàdì ó gba sódẹkẹ tọmọtọmọ à ń ròde ìráná à ń wo ìlú èkó lọ́kọ̀ọ̀kan akíkanjú ọmọ tó ń gbógun jálé bàbá ọmọ ògbọ́rọ̀ yẹ̀wò bí elédùmarè ọmọ kẹlẹ̀bẹ̀ òjò wú kò wù gèrè aráàbí ní aróguntayò ọmọ ta ni oníkòkò ń fojú di ọmọ òru là ń ṣèkà ọ̀sán là ń ṣèmẹ́lẹ́ ọmọ afíjú wọjà ó ní gbẹ̀ǹdẹ́kẹ ọ̀bùn wọjà pa ṣìọ̀ṣìọ̀ ọ̀bùn ṣìọ̀ṣìọ̀ ní rẹrù afíjú wọlé ọmọ bíbí ire kò ṣeé fowó rà ọmọ abẹ́kò ló jìjàdù ẹwà ọmọ eré jogún ọlá àtùpàdù gànràn ọmọ ọlọ́gbọ́n dorí ẹja mú ọmọ òdíyán ọmọ ogun lòdìbò ọmọ òbí ní aróguntayò ọmọ òdíyán ọmọ ogun lòdìbò ọmọ òbí ní aróguntayò ọmọ àrófọbabẹ́gùn ọmọ afẹ́lẹ́lẹ́ wọlé ọba ọmọ ẹni òbejì ọmọ ẹni bèjì ó yàṣọ ọmọ òyìnbó fòkun ṣọ̀nà ẹyẹ fojú ọ̀run ṣòréré ọmọ afọbajẹ ìlú èkó ọmọ ajẹkọba tó jẹ elétò òrogun ẹnìkan ò lọ agbada ògbóná ìgbàdo òta ètò òsì ọba ọjẹ kábíyèsí o kábíyèsí o kábíyèsí o.
used to travel, but not that kind of travel in my life. My enemy, I don't pray for him to go through that what I go through. It's a grace of God.
A good life is desirable. In fact, it is a legitimate desire. But that quest means different things to different people. For some, it could be as simple as access to basic necessities of life: food, shelter, clothing, and safety. But for others, it may be much more complicated. Yearly, thousands of African migrants leave their countries on a long journey away from home. Their destination, Europe. I established direct contact with a returnee, a young Nigerian whose main goal was to expand his business big enough to make his family comfortable. Although not Europe-bound, his story shows that there is no limit to human mobility and migration decisions. An old friend had informed him of business opportunities in Cairo, but the road to Egypt turned out to be eventful. The reality often dawns in the middle of the journey, a point of no return and moment of reckoning where they see life flashing before their eyes.
From Kano, there's a bus taking us to Sinden. From Sinden to Agadez. Getting to Agadez, suddenly they say we are going to enter flight. Just an hour to Cairo. I said, okay, no problem. I was enjoying myself. But later on, they just said, oh yeah, higher, higher. I said, what is higher? They now bring a e-loss, pick up. I said, to do what? They say we should take certificate. I said, which certificate? That's stick. To put a middle of us, sit in the e-loss, down to where? They say it's 1 hour driving. I said, okay, I followed their advice. By way sitting down with my stature, I was even happy. We have never even moved 30 to 15 minutes. I just hear, bah! I was just hearing, Boda Entiku. And I told them, I'm not dead, dude. I'm still alive. 2 people now came to me. They now carry me. And I say, is it my leg there? They say my leg, because it's cold. They say my leg is here. They took me to somewhere to sit down. Within 30 minutes, they say we are not going again. That's where we are going to sleep, in the desert. When we moved for 3 days, there was a guy, the driver. I was watching him. The way he's driving and the way they are talking. He now said everybody should stop. They what they call Duruku. They said Duruku. He asked everybody to stop and calm down. This is how I fold my mouth, looking at him, said, what is happening? He said, we are too heavy. Heavy for what? He took 5 people to one side, said the car is going down. With the language they are talking. I don't hear their language. What I just know is that he wants to kill 5 people. I just hear pa, 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 pa. From there, the hypertension now come up. Because that's my first time in my life seeing killing people like a goat.
With the arduous journey on land to Libya out of the way, migrants then proceed to the next phase, this time on sea. Any failure at this point comes with dire consequences.
There was a man they called I don't want to call it the chairman in Saba. He's now one I run to. I want to go back home. I'm going back to my country. The man said no. Move on. When you get to Tripoli, you jump to Italy. I said okay. I followed the advice. Getting to Tripoli, we will get to the sea. There's a camp they used to put us. We always sat down before going. It can even take you a month before they brought you to the Lampa. They call it Lampa. That's Balu. But the first day, I saw some people coming back with bending hand, bending leg. Some have died. They say I should ready to go. I say yes. Coming back, they return us back to camp. I don't know the camp is jail. We are just dumped there 3-4 months.
Equally as deadly is the Middle Eastern route. Even more heartbreaking is that victims can be lured by persons considered trustworthy. A trafficker can be anyone.
When I was struggling with life, I finally get a job as a waitress. I met with a friend. You know, we all think in Nigeria that facing one or two challenges, when you meet with the pastor, talk about it, pray about it, you believe everything will be okay. And that was what happened. They advised me to meet up with the pastors, and we meet up with the pastor, and that was the whole arrangement of traveling and leaving the country. And the initial plan was Canada, not traveling to an Arab country. It was not Oman. So at the long run, I was working. I do send my salary and even the tip I get as a waitress then to the pastor to work on my visa. And at the long run, we realized that the pastor was fake and there was nothing coming out of it. So we met with the person the pastor was introducing to us, standing as the agent. They said, okay, there's a country that we can go to currently now, which is called Oman. That was where we were told that it was Dubai, close to Dubai. They share border with Dubai, and we all know Dubai very well because Dubai is a very popular country, okay. Since it's Dubai, okay, we would go there. Getting to Oman, you know, we don't know anything that was going on then. That was when we realized that we are into slavery, working as an house help. Here they call it house help. Over there, they call us Shangala, which is slave. And it's not easy. A lot of people are there that we left together are no more there. And most people are sexually harassed. Like I myself, I was harassed over there too. I was locked up, being beaten up. Even if I said I'm not working again, the way they treat me as if I am nobody, and they don't care if I live my life or not because they believe that they've actually paid our country, like they've paid an agent here in Nigeria. They sell us out for 2 years, so they let us know that 2 years we can actually do anything for us, and we have no question, and we have no right over ourselves for that 2 years.
The mass exodus of African migrants through irregular channels has created room for exploitation and gross human rights abuse in the already volatile Libya. Detention camps are literally hell on earth. And so, in 2017, the European Union, in partnership with the International Organization for Migration, started funding voluntary return programs to assist migrants stranded in these informal prisons. Since then, over 15,000 Nigerians have taken advantage of this opportunity. But a cloud still hangs over many of the returnees. It is the stigma and worry of starting a new life.
I wish to travel, but not that kind of travel in my life. There's some people I met in a bus. He say he's traveling. I say, bros, I even lie down on the ground. I say, please, look at me, look at my picture. Don't ever try it. Even my enemy, if he said he wants to travel to that road, I have money. I will ask him, what do you want? I will tell him to take, to please to stay. My enemy, I don't pray for him to go through that what I go through. It's a grace of God for me to be alive today.
They say old wounds heal over time, but this experience is one whose memory hardly ever fades away.
the vulnerable state of released inmates or prisoners, the temptation, resistance, and victory.
It is frustrating seeing all the efforts put into releasing inmates go up in smoke.
Yeah, they come out, sometimes into the cold embrace of a hostile world. Sometimes there is no one to receive them.
These people from counseling suffer stigmatization and difficulty in giving themselves back to life. They suffer stigmatization of rehabilitating themselves into the society from whence they came before the disruption of their lives.
It is the same thing with the survivors of human trafficking and the sexually exploited. They leave the country with the hope of a brighter future, but are brought back shattered, in despair and hopeless.
Whenever human persons, out of greed, selfishness, conceit, decide to make use of others for their own selfish purposes, try to exploit others, then you demean the purpose for which God actually created the human person. And so we need to take it out completely.
So it is a good news to let people know that human trafficking is not a way of life. With all the promises that they, of course, those who involve in it, was at the end of it, they gain nothing.
And even when family members or friends manage to turn up, the journey towards rehabilitation is usually impossible without a skill.
And when there is a skill, there is no support structure, no availability of basic trade equipment, and no money to procure them. It is a near impossible situation for the ex-prisoner. He needs shelter, at least temporarily, and skills to help him or her maneuver a society that has increasingly become a place where dreams come to die.
The Nigerian custodial system as at March 2024. Total inmate population 78,621. Total male inmates 76,854. Total female inmates 1,767. Total convicted inmates 24,444. Convicted male inmates 24,000. Convicted female inmates 444. Total awaiting trial inmates 54,177. Awaiting trial male 52,854. Awaiting trial female 1,323. Crime and other antisocial behaviors are as old as mankind and highlight the point of imperfection of the human species. To promote and ensure social cohesion and balance, the society builds special holding places for those whose conduct and activities threaten societal values.
Globally, we may mention the exception of maybe one country or two like Sweden. It's still acceptable that custodial punishment is one of the ways to deal with crime, especially. Of course, we have the civil offenses, which are not basically crimes, but provide for punishment through keeping the person in correctional custody. Okay, but looking beyond the punishment itself, we look at the place where this punishment is being served. How adequate has our correctional centers and facilities been over the years?
The essence of building prisons or custodial centers is not to destroy those in prisons, but to reform them. Sadly, in spite of efforts by the authorities, only an exceeding small number of those who come out of custodial centers end up redeeming their lives. A much greater percentage continue with lifestyles that take them back into prisons.
The accommodation where they stay, they are made to lie on the bare floor, on mats, and they stay so tight in a cell. Many of them told us that the cells, which should be occupied by 15 to 18 people, have 60 people in them. How reformational in nature can that kind of thing be? So if you look at the practical aspect of it, you will see that it is not reforms, rather it is more of dehumanization.
A defective criminal justice system, an unforgiving, unsympathetic, and fearful citizenry, lack of post-prison opportunities, and absence of adequate opportunities have all combined to work against social reintegration of the formerly incarcerated. The narrative must change. New opportunities for redemption must be embraced. Enter the Justice, Development and Peace Center, Lagos Archdiocese of Catholic Church, JDPC, with an ambition like no other and a vision that is unparalleled. The JDPC intends to build the first truly reformative home, a halfway house for those forgotten by society who once lost their way but are now willing to retrace their steps.
This home is to provide succor and a place where they can find their feet before they are reintegrated into society. The rehab home is to also provide skills. They will be able to acquire skills that will be useful to them in life. A place of shelter, a place to rest, a place to be human beings again. And that is why we are calling on all and sundry to join us, to help us to be able to build this very laudable initiative.
Equipped with over 30 rooms for both male and female, a library for those intent on catching up with the development of the intellect, a fully equipped and functioning workroom for skilled impartation and training.
We know that the work of humanity, the work of bringing about good governance, the work of making sure that the voice of the voiceless is heard can be quite challenging and daunting. And that's why the fundraising aspect is there.
The JDPC has tried to fill the lacuna left by government for the enhancement and betterment of human beings. And that is why this project to build a rehabilitation home for deportees and for returnee prisoners.
It has been a long journey to get to this moment of actualization. The vision for the halfway home and the attempts to have not been without disappointment and dashed hopes.
The JDPC is in the line or in the course of producing and building and constructing a rehabilitation and a vocational center. Now, this vocational center, you may want to know, has always been in the mind of the JDPC from the time of our beloved Cardinal, the Archbishop Emeritus of the Archdiocese of Lagos, His Eminence Cardinal Anthony Okogie, when this vision was birthed. But along the line, some things had to stall for funding issues and a few other logistical reasons.
This home is to provide succor and a place where they can find their feet before they are reintegrated into society. The rehab home is to also provide skills. They will be able to acquire skills that will be useful to them in life.
There is hope for everyone regardless of their circumstances. It is true that the seed for societal decay is sown by human hands, sometimes wittingly, other times unwittingly. But it is also a fact that the society has within itself the power to self-regulate and the ability to redeem itself. So it is so with those who find themselves at the bottom of the ladder, such as ex-convicts or inmates, as well as victims of sexual abuse, exploitation, and trafficking. After all, if Mary Magdalene and the thief on the cross could find last-minute redemption, who then can be immune from God's mercy if they open up their hearts?
We know full well that there are a lot of persons who, for want of maybe man's inhumanity to man, have found themselves in very underprivileged and disadvantaged positions in the society. We have a lot of destitutes. We have our friends, our brothers and our sisters from the correctional facilities who have been set free, and sometimes they find nowhere to go. They find nothing to do. We also get to read in the news every now and again the migration processes that take place in the country and how certain of our brothers and sisters are being repatriated and brought back to the country from the Middle East, from Libya, parts of Africa, and of course from Europe. Now, sometimes these persons come back and they are lost at sea, not knowing exactly what they should do. Now, this rehabilitation center is a stopgap where we bring these persons together and train them and let them know that all life is not lost. There is hope for a better Nigeria, and they can make good use of this center to further benefit themselves. It is a center that in its conception had the mind or the thought of bridging the gap between the correctional facilities and the center, putting it simply, from prison to society.
JDPC's Half Home is set up to do one part of what a custodian center is supposed to do, and that is the reformation of the dejected and abandoned after society has imposed its legal punishment on them. This reformation must be followed by reintegration back into the society, and it also applies to victims of human trafficking for sexual purposes.
These young people will not be like gunpowder that we are sitting upon and that will explode and cause much more confusion in the nation.
My word is going to use that to be one, to not to lose focus, to be determined on what they want to do with their lives, and not to be used by any person for their selfish interests at the detriment of their future and their life.
Unfortunately, the nature and character of the country's socio-political system seem to make these achievements of this noble objective almost impossible.
In the past 6 months, my organization, for example, has released over 50 people in different correctional centers in Lagos State alone. And once they are out, we take them on and we get their stories recorded. And part of our questions to each of them is, how adequate are the facilities where you stayed? Some of them stayed 2 months, but some stayed more than 5 years. We've had situations in the past 8 to 10 months where we released someone who stayed about 8 years without trial, and then someone who the court gave order for his release in 2021 but was now released in 2023. So he stayed extra 2 years and 1 month. In all of these instances, we ask them, how adequate is accommodation, feeding, Medicare, recreation? These are the things that should be basic. They are not yet reformatory in nature. When you talk of reforms, you are now talking of something beyond the ordinary.
The increasing importance of non-governmental organizations to the overall running of the society cannot be overemphasized. Serious governments, especially in growing democracies, increasingly welcome their interventions in the various thematic areas of their engagements.
It takes a person who came in there with a sound mind, takes that person from soundness of mind to something else. Many of them get out from there not happy, having revenge at the center of at the core of their soul.
From governance issues, healthcare, social welfare initiatives, the criminal justice system, human trafficking, etc. They have continued to complement the activities of governments over the years. The present rehabilitation home of the JDPC is one of such efforts.
The 10th of May too is a day we are setting aside to raise funds, to complement and to further carry out the task, our primary responsibility of spreading the gospel of God's grace to the nations, to the world, to the ends of the earth, especially within the confines of Lagos State.
A place of shelter, a place to rest, a place to be human beings again. And that is why we are calling on all and sundry to join us, to help us to be able to build this very laudable initiative.
The JDPC wants to set a precedent that it hopes others, such as governments, corporate institutions, and philanthropists, would emulate. The body wants to send a message to the rejected and dejected in the society. We have your back. Do not despair. That message is a halfway home. But this can only happen when similar charity-minded individuals and entities identify with this objective to turn a long-nurtured dream to reality.
today we are saying to those ruling elites, enough of the deaths of our people, enough of the hunger of our people, enough of the misery of our people, enough of the starvation of our people, enough of the hunger of our people, enough of bad roads, enough of poor care. We are saying, we stand in solidarity to say that today we the working people of Nigeria are united more than ever before. We are not divided by religious or ethnic bias. We are united to say to our oppressors, enough is enough. We want a Nigeria of our dream. We want a Nigeria that works for everybody. We want a Nigeria that works for the police. We want a Nigeria that works for the civil defense. We want a Nigeria that works for the last man. We want a Nigeria that works for the all security operatives, for our workers, for teachers, for farmers. That is the Nigeria we want. We can no longer stay like this. We can't afford to have food to eat as Nigeria. That is the worst of it all. Our youths are going into prostitution. Our youths are going into crime. Why? Because we have an insensitive ruling elite. You heard about it the other day. He said those disgruntled elements.
The only way to fight oppression. Social revolution. Social revolution. Social. Amanda! Yes. Comrades, we are here today to declare that we own this country together. We own this country together. I'm not Mr.